Morning, everybody. How's it going?
It's a Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday morning. We got a special guest this morning.
Morning, Judge.
Lake County Superior Court Juvenile Division. Is that the proper
Correct.
title?
Yes. Wow, look at you. That just rolled off your
It
tongue.
does. I practiced in juvenile
Yeah,
court.
you practiced on the way over here.
Yeah. No, I practiced in a juvenile court. But Judge Tom Stefaniak's in the house. Welcome to the studio, Judge.
Good morning.
Looking
see you, sir.
casual and like with no robe.
This working remote stuff is doing me well.
Oh, wow.
You get to hang out,
I can't.
relax.
I get more done. I get it done quicker.
So
and
you actually doing hearings from?
No, I go in for those, but
Right.
but we are doing remote
Yeah.
hearings. The other judicial officers, yeah.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
We're actually getting the cases faster. We're getting more parents involved in the cases because the lawyers are calling them quicker. And if they don't have transportation, they can participate virtually.
Oh,
on
that's
like
awesome.
Zoom or whatever, they can zoom in.
Yeah.
That's really neat. Well, we're going to get into it, I think, in a little bit.
It's giving you a little taste of what we're going to talk about. Judge Stefaniak, besides being a great judge, is a very real person, which is the interesting thing for me. I know he's a big snowmobilist. He's a motorcycler. You know, he likes music. That's the thing I think is cool about Judge Stefaniak. Is he's a real guy.
MF-er.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think
Okay,
he's tough.
Kevin. I don't think Kevin's cursed.
I don't know about that. But
I don't know. Hockey, snowmobiling, and motorcycle, and
Hockey,
riding motorcycles.
You
is
don't
pretty-
see judges very often do that kind of stuff. So we'll go ahead and get into our sponsors real quick, Kev, and
Sure.
then we'll jump into the judge. It's going to be an interesting show. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Left of Center.
You're first.
Okay, let's start off. Attorney Alfredo Estrada at Burke Costanza and Carberry, locations in Maryville and Chicago. Alfredo is one of the most experienced lawyers in the area in regards to immigration and civil litigation. He is also available at the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic to help with DACA immigration issues. Call Alfredo at 219-769-1313. 219-769-1313. Adelante con Alfredo.
All right, from lawyers to insurance. Kyle Dempsey, State Farm Agency. Are you in the market for insurance? Do you want to find an agent that you trust? The Kyle Dempsey State Farm Agency is just that. Kyle's offices are conveniently located in Hammond and Cherryville. State Farm has new low auto insurance rates as well as great rates for home, renters, business, and even life insurance. Call Kyle Dempsey's office at 219-845-1571 for more info. I also noticed that the NFL season brought some new State Farm commercials this weekend.
Yeah.
So Jake from State Farm is back. A new Jake from State Farm.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Brain Aneurysm Awareness Month. Were you aware that September is Brain Aneurysm Awareness Month? Us in Hammond are very aware of that because we lost a very good friend, councilwoman at a young age. Councilwoman Kathleen
Judge knows
Basal.
her.
Judge,
Sure.
you know,
Kathy?
yeah, her and her sister both passed from brain aneurysms.
Oh,
and
really?
They were both in their 40s, too. It was
Yeah,
so
that's right.
tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, so obviously I know two people just off the top of my head that passed from this horrible disease. But September is Brain Aneurysm Awareness Month in the state of Indiana. Did you know that 1 in 50 people suffer from a brain aneurysm in their lifetime? It is important to be aware of this silent killer that impacts so many lives and to know how to help. For more information, please check out BAF Foundation, bafoundation.org, bafoundation.org.
Yeah, and thanks to Jim Wolf for sponsoring and bringing awareness to that. I think it's important. So thanks to Jim for sponsoring the show. Nuevo Leon Tortillas. Thank you to the Martinez family and all the employees at Tortillas Nuevo Leon for sponsoring the show. They've been the region's tortilla brand since 1975 and manufacture flour, corn tortillas, and corn nacho chips that you can find in your local and Chicagoland grocery store with their familiar red and white logo. Visit their website at tortillasnuevoleon.com for more info. Thanks to our sponsors.
Thanks to
Lindsay,
the sponsors.
tell us how you can
Lindsay-
hang out and watch the show.
Lindsay doesn't look very awake this morning.
I think she looks great.
I think she looks great. She doesn't look very awake. I said she looks very tired.
I think this is a new bit, is just trying to get me all fired up in the morning.
Your dad.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to have a pissed off daughter every
Oh,
show.
we'll talk to you after the
good
show.
at this. Okay. The best. What was the question? I apologize.
Oh,
This
To
is your bit.
sponsor,
yes.
Yeah.
So the best way to sponsor us is to contact me or directly to our Facebook page, which is Left of Center Podcast. I'm also going to do our little intro. Is that okay
Yeah,
do it.
right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's your bit. This is how you're going to be discovered, Linz.
Boy,
If this is
Boy,
how
is
I'm
that not
discovered,
true.
I'm-
She's just like
Boy, is that
very
not
not
true.
enchanted with
Really
her dad.
easy.
It's
like
like
this is not going to be hung
she's
to be
like
discovered.
staring daggers
Gives
at
that
me.
daughter look.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like, come on.
Shut
man.
up, Dad. Shut
All right.
up.
You're listening to Left of Center, where we cover everything from politics to important events of the day in the Midwest and the nation, all while having a little fun doing it, almost too much. If you can't get enough of us, follow us on Facebook at Left of Center Podcast or on Twitter at LOCPOD, LOCPOD. If you can't listen in live, you can download our episodes from the Apple Podcast app and enjoy our show at a crystal clear 208 kilohertz per second. Just search Left of Center and look for our red and blue logo.
Thanks, Linz.
Thanks. One
Thanks,
day I'll
Lynn.
have that memorized.
Good.
You're almost there, and you're an actress, so you should have it down by
We
now.
sort of
That's like an
expected
easy
COVID has cut my acting career significantly.
In half?
Yeah,
Well, now
Right.
you're stuck on the podcast.
I know.
Those are your lines.
That's all
I
Remember
have.
them.
Yeah, memorizing. Thanks, Linz. Good to
Thanks.
see you.
All right,
And
Judge.
we have John Vesmar in the studio. Thanks a lot, John.
Behind the controls.
Yeah, I mean,
so if the picture's not good or it's fuzzy or it's out of focus,
it's definitely not our fault.
It's not my fault.
Exactly.
Or the mayor's fault.
No, or Lindsay's. Basically, it's John's. Like, if there's anything that you're pissed off about, it's John's fault.
John, if you want to call in and talk to the judge or mayor, 219-595-0792. That's 219-595-0792.
Or you could message Lindsay. She's monitoring the message boards right now. She'll fire off the questions to us as well. But it's great to have Judge Stefaniak in the studio, a gentleman I've known for my entire career. As he started off in Hammond as like a mentor to young Tom McDermott when I was running for office. Judge Stefaniak led the way for me in what was deemed at the time a Republican city, right?
When you
judge,
came in, it was.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I mean, and he was wildly successful in Hammond, which gave me confidence that I could be successful as well. I mean, I don't know if you know that, but that's a fact. Like,
I didn't know that.
That's true.
Hey,
Like,
Judge, I mean, you came from a political family. I mean, just like the mayor did. So you want to talk a little bit about that? And I know you're a Cal City guy. You can hear it in your voice. I know that whenever I hear you talk, I'm like, he's from Cal City.
Anywhere I go, if I go out of this region, people ask me just to talk because they want to hear the voice. It's kind of bizarre.
you know
but-
the Kasparik's from Cal City?
Yeah.
Yeah, good guy. Huh? He's my
Yeah.
accountant.
Is he?
Oh, he's a great.
Judge
guy.
Cantar, TF North grad,
Yeah.
just like you.
Yes.
Judge Cantar, right?
Mark Hines.
Mark
yeah.
Hines, TF
yeah.
also?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
he was
His
always
whole family, right?
He was always.
Really?
Oh,
I
his
didn't
dad
know
was
that.
my basketball
Get outta
coach.
here. I
He
had
taught
no
me.
idea.
He taught me how to do a layup,
Really?
step, kick, and shoot.
So you knew Mark when he
You
was a
still
kid?
got it, right? Can you go out? You want to go out and do one?
No,
Step, kick, and shoot.
Step, kick, and shoot.
He knows what it
I
means.
remember it from the fourth grade.
Implementing it's a lot harder though.
Mark always was involved with
Really?
the parks in Cal City.
Well,
too.
he's a huge soccer guy now. He just left Hammond and he's working the Munster Parks now.
Head of
Great
Munster
guy.
Parks.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a Hammond resident though.
Yeah, they had a real active park, Calumet Memorial Park
Oh,
there.
man.
He
we
was
used
to go there with
active
the
with his
pool. It
family.
was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
I guarantee you that's where Mark got his inspiration from, right?
Yep, I'm sure. Like
crazy.
Tom said.
They had a good board all the time. They always made sure they took care of the parks.
And your
Yeah.
uncle was mayor. Is that right? Was that?
He was
Yeah, for a long time.
like 31 years.
Was that tough on you as a kid, like having the same last name
Well,
as
yeah,
the mayor?
because I mean I wasn't exactly the best kid. So.
Really?
That's not my son. It's my nephew.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is definitely not my son.
right. So
Yeah, I was a little rough around the edges when I was a kid too. So, not that I mean you were rough around the edges. but-
no, I was beyond that.
Really?
What brought
Nice.
you? What brought you over from Cal City to Hammond? Like you're an Illinois guy, Illinois family, high school, Illinois, and then you end up in Indiana, and that's kind of where your career.
Well, funny
was.
thing is, I got tired of hearing people say I only got anything because of my uncle. Mm-hmm. And I went to school in Rensselaer, probably because it was the only place that would accept me.
Judge, you just said something that's amazing because Lindsay and Chase, two of my oldest two kids, both went to Bishop Knoll, and then my son Tommy, same exact name as me, did not want to go to school in the region. He went to high school in Chicago Heights, actually, at the Marian Catholic.
Okay.
And one of the main reasons he said was, everybody knows me. Like, if I get a part in a play, everybody's like, oh, it's because Dad got it for you, right? Or if you're starring on a team.
Right.
It's interesting that you said that because I think my kids sort of experienced the same thing.
Well, my experience was the opposite because my father and mother helped try to avoid that for me, and I didn't quite cooperate. I started at Mount Carmel,
Oh, wow.
and I went 1 year, and wasn't a good year, but
Yeah.
Ended up
Tough.
a meteor.
ended up a meteor
Yeah.
and on a football team.
Oh, so you did play sports.
Oh, I wouldn't say I played. I was on the team.
You're on the team.
I was that guy that couldn't make the wind sprint cut. So Yurko and
Were you a big were you a big kid or?
decent size.
Yurko was
but
on that team. What about the quarterback for the Bears? What was his name? Tom
Zach.
Was he on that
He
team?
was on varsity. This was junior.
Get out of
varsity.
here. Tom
Oh,
Zach was
yeah.
on it?
Cal City.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I wasn't. when I came from Mount Carmel, I said I wanted to play football because I played at St. Andrews. I was a quarterback. I told the old man, "Yeah, I want to play." He says, "Well, you go out, you can't quit." I said, "Okay." Well, I wasn't bright enough to tell the coach, "Hey, coach, this isn't working for either of us. Can we just pretend like I'm on the team?"
Can I be the water
He
boy?
was trying to get me to quit. I couldn't quit.
So you play all 4 years then, or
No. I played 30 seconds that season,
Yeah.
and I didn't have to go back out the next season.
That was the deal. That was the deal with your dad, right?
It taught me to avoid immediate gratification. It was brutal.
So I mean, you had to be a good student, though. Obviously, you ended up going to law school.
No.
When did you? Judge, you and I have a very similar sort of childhood. I didn't do very well in high school. I went to the military. They straightened me out, and then that's where I sort of turned the corner. But it sounds to me like we had similar types of situations.
Yeah, where'd you turn the corner? Have you yet?
Not really.
I'm turning as we speak.
I made the slight detour enough to know that what I wanted to do with my career, but it involved the legal system
Nice.
and getting arrested and
Yeah.
with 3 other guys that it was my fault and they
Yeah.
got worse punishment than me, and I was the only one that hired a lawyer. So man, I want to be one of you
Good
guys.
for you. Well, Judge, I mean, do you think like your experience helps you as a juvenile court judge? Because obviously you see nothing but problems coming into your court. You don't see the good kids coming through the juvenile court. Do you think that background gives you a little bit more leniency as a judge?
Yeah,
Or
well,
perspective at the very
Yeah.
least.
Right.
it gives me the perspective that, I believe that we're all jacked up in our own ways and we all got our own problems. And if you don't take yourself so seriously, you can help other people if they see your vulnerabilities. And we do get, we get people that come through juvenile court that just generally make bad decisions, but have the ability to go on and do something. And that's our goal, to attempt to find that and to find that in them and build them up, give them the confidence to do it so they don't end up in criminal
Get them
court.
back on the right path.
We attempt to. Sometimes we win, oftentimes we don't.
I imagine most of the kids you see coming through the court are from broken families, right? Dad's non-existent, maybe mom's non-existent. I mean, how often do you see the traditional nuclear family, the kid coming through, in trouble?
Yeah, the traditional nuclear family, it's we see the other end of that. I mean, we see the women with 10, 12 kids and
Wow.
8, 10 different
A lot of
fathers.
broken families.
and-
Yeah, that's rough. Well, like before, obviously, now you're juvenile court judge, but before that, you had a life as Hammond City Court judge, right?
Yeah.
That was your first judicial position.
It was.
What law school did you go to, though?
Valparaiso.
Nice. So did you go undergrad Valpo also, or?
No, St. Joseph's.
So
Yeah,
both
so-
your
yeah.
university and your law school
Damn,
don't
no
exist
kidding.
anymore.
Wait.
Does that make you
It-
are you sure you're
Wait, it gets better. It gets better.
your grade school just is
I
gone?
went to St. Andrews. It's gone. And I was
better
Hammond
hope-
City Court judge. It's gone.
You better hope TF North stays
Yeah,
open.
right.
If TF North goes away, you might just be like,
I got the black cloud over me.
That is hilarious. So your high school's still around, but your college is gone, your law school's gone,
and your grade school's gone.
Your grade school's gone, and your first elected office is gone.
Gone, right.
So basically, I don't know about the juvenile court.
I don't
systems.
think juvenile court's going away anytime
I
soon.
got to show you this though. I brought this baby in. I don't know
Oh,
if you. I
that
found
is
this at the
awesome.
bottom of the
Hey,
closet.
Kev, we
Look
got
at that.
Show and tell.
Well, it's today's show and tell. It's kind of
That's today's show and tell.
Luckily, I don't fit in this anymore. It's a big one.
Look at that.
But
Yeah.
this is Judge Stefaniak from when he was city court judge.
You were the one that started the graffiti removal program, right?
No, Diana Cross Gonzalez
she?
did. We just
Nice.
we improved on it.
Nice. It's still going, by the way. We've
it?
incorporated that in the city department.
Even though
we
the
have-
court's gone.
Yeah, no, we have a really cool gun now where you can exactly match the
Yeah.
background paint. It's like a computer. It says okay, and then you spray it and it just wipes out the graffiti. It's awesome.
I think we got the first generation because they were painting, everything white,
right.
and white just creates
Right.
a canvas. So
Right.
we got one of the first generations of that matching.
I remember you got the officer friendly van or something to make
Yeah.
the graffiti van or something like that,
it
right?
was brutal.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a message over. It said from Josh. It said, Judge Tom finalized the adoption of my 2 girls, and they are forever grateful.
This is a message. See?
See, that's one of the cool things about your job. Also, is
That-
you're creating families as well.
I saw something in the paper just recently
That's-
about an adoption.
Yeah, that's the best days. We do adoption day every year. I think 2 years ago, I think we did 34, 35 of them in a day.
Yeah.
Those are the good days.
Heck yeah. Obviously I'm very pro adoption. My wife Marissa was adopted from Poland, and it's an amazing, without her being adopted, obviously her and I never get married. So it's just an amazing thing.
You probably see a lot of kids going into a better situation on adoption day, I would think,
Oh, yeah.
which is an exciting day. Probably.
That's when you see the
It is.
normal nuclear families going. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, Mary, I know wanted to talk about your change of judgeship when you went from city court, and Governor O'Bannon, who, obviously
Yeah.
the mayor has a lot of respect for.
All of us do, yeah.
Yeah,
Great guy.
and he appointed you up to the big time, up to felony court.
He did.
So from city court, which I guess that, we just had Judge Gina from Maryville Town Court got promoted to judge. So I mean, I guess that's fairly
It
common,
happens,
right?
yeah.
Judge Cantar, I
She
guess.
was Lake Station.
She was Lake Station judge. So yeah, city court judge going to Superior Court judge, which is a world of difference, right, Judge?
Oh, it's night and day.
Right? I mean, because really, city court judge, you're just doing mostly traffic kind of stuff and
And
small claims.
misdemeanor.
Right, and
yeah.
misdemeanor, right?
Yeah.
And now you're potentially doing death penalty cases, which you've done.
I have.
Were you initially, like, when you started in Superior Court judge, you started off doing the major felony cases? I mean, right off the bat?
Right off the
And
bat.
you had really, other than being a deputy prosecutor, you really had no background in that, right?
Nope. It's like, here you go. Figure it out.
Speaking of deputy prosecutor, didn't you aren't you and Gary Bell are pretty tight, right? Our U.S. attorney,
We
one
s-
of our U.S. Assistant U.S. attorneys.
We started the same day in the prosecutor's office, and we'd worked together for a while,
Awesome.
and then we went to different divisions, and he obviously went over to the Fed
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
some point.
right.
But
Gary's a great guy, and he's
Yeah.
been so successful over
Great
there.
prosecutor.
great,
Yep.
great trial lawyer.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
So
he's tough. He's another one I would care to. I put Gary in the tough category, just like
Yeah.
you.
Well, he
That's interesting.
progressed up to felony a little quicker than I did.
We're going to keep you down in traffic, Tom.
Where did Gary go to
come
law
on up. Where did Gary? Well, Gary's a Gavitt guy. I know that. He went to Gavitt.
Right.
And I'm not sure where Gary went to law
I
school.
don't know. I want to say Michigan.
Okay.
Really?
He's a smart dude.
Michigan law? Damn.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Don't quote me.
I don't
on
know.
that.
Gary will
That's
correct
pretty
us.
badass, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he's obviously had huge success over at the U.S. Attorney's office. So
Yeah.
he's been around a long time.
Yeah.
He sure has.
Right.
Yep.
So
So-
anyway, so we're cruising through. So you get promoted to Superior Court judge. Do you have any cases that like stick out? I mean, because you're seeing the worst of the worst, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah.
in that spot. You were really, did the worst cases come to you? It's all random, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you? And
That's
did
what
you?
they say. I just would end up with all the death penalty cases, or a fair amount of them, and I had a quadruple homicide. Drug runner decides he's going to rip off his drug dealer and goes in a house blazing when they're cooking crack and lights the place up.
Really?
And one of the decedents was a 19-month-old baby.
Oh,
Wow.
goodness.
And
Those are tough.
You cannot unsee autopsy pictures of a 19-month-old baby. That sticks out in my
How many
mind.
people have you had to sentence to death?
I think just one.
But like, yeah, because
Is it in Indiana? Is it judge or jury that does the death penalty in the penalty phase?
It's jury, but then the judge has to give it final approval and make sure everything is in order and can reverse it. Judge Clement before me did that.
And now, but once so you put somebody on death row. I mean, is that person still around? Or are they still appealing? I mean, because I know it's a frustrating process.
Yeah, it goes on forever.
Because they could go a couple decades appealing. And
Well, there was
litigating.
the Roach case out of Hammond back in the 90s. I got that on remand. He got
I remember that
sentenced
one.
to death.
I don't remember that.
This guy killed maybe one or two people over $120 in food stamps in a basement in Hammond, and drove around, showed his friends the body. And
Get out of here.
Oh yeah, he ultimately turned himself in. Remember Russ Ewing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He turned
that's the
himself
reporter.
In. Yeah, he turned himself into Russ
Back
Ewing.
when guys used to do that.
Right.
Wow.
Anyway, I get back in the room, or I get this case on remand, and him and I are in a jail with an overweight security guard, and he'd already killed a couple people, shivved a guy to death on death row, and made it to the outer wall and shot a guard.
No
Get
kidding.
out of here.
And I'm sitting in.
Where is that? Westville?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy was.
Bad news, huh?
Yeah.
So he's no longer with us?
Well, he wanted a bench trial, and I was preparing the way to do the bench trial psychologically, because I asked him, I said, well, you don't think I got the guts to put you to death? He says, no, I know you do. and he
You
says,
went to Cal City.
he says,
Yeah, you're
he's-
like,
he says,
I'm
I
from
want to
TF
die.
North.
Yeah, he says, I want to die because these people you're sending to death row now are crazy, and I'm going to make another family unhappy.
Wow.
Wow.
Anyway,
Wow.
I was set to make the decision on Thursday. He hung himself the Tuesday
Really?
before.
Holy Toledo.
Saved me the
Wow.
effort.
Having to deal with that.
Dude, would that be tough on you? I mean, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
gotta
I always
weigh on
think
you.
about that with the governors, and literally the prisoner's hours away from dying, and they appeal to the governor, and the governor
He's
gets
gotta
to
make the
say
decision,
thumbs up
yeah.
or thumbs down.
Yep.
That'd be rough. But looking at what the person did to get to that position, I think I could sleep well at night in situations.
I mean,
like
if that's
that.
what the law is, I mean, obviously a lot of states have stopped the death penalty. And a lot of states have never had it, right? I mean, you go to the Northeast, they've never even
Do you,
had it.
do you
but-
believe in death penalty, Kevin?
I struggle with it because I'll tell you this. I remember a homily given by our priest once about abortion, and I thought to myself, like, if you have a certain view on abortion, then
Right.
really you should maybe think the same way about the death penalty.
I've heard
because
that
it's
rationale.
right. I mean, who's making the decision here? I guess, but I struggle with it.
I believe
do.
in death penalty. I just think, honestly, the thing that frustrates me about the death penalty is the wait. After a judge makes a decision, I realize you get due process, but you can't sit there for 2 decades and then say that that's this is for something you did 20 years ago.
Well, another thing I think you have to be aware of as a society, right, is like, how is it implemented? Is it being implemented unfairly on a certain group?
Right.
Are so many people on death row, because they're this race or that race, or they were poor, or
Poor.
mentally unstable, right? I mean, the Supreme Court came down not even that long ago that if you are have a mental disability, you
Right.
can't get sentenced to death or below a certain age. So it's a tough issue.
The ironic thing about that one, the Catholic Church is against the death penalty.
Right.
But what people don't know is they don't read on. If you read on, it says because they're against it because there's other ways to protect others. But if there's no other way to protect others, the Catholic faith would condone it. This
Yeah.
guy just told me he's on death row and he's going to kill another inmate.
Right. There you
That
go.
that fit the Catholic faith as far as I was concerned.
You still
So-
practice, Judge?
Huh?
You're active still?
No, not anymore. They threw
Yeah.
me out once I got divorced, and
Really?
that second thrown out of the confessional was enough for me.
Really? I mean,
No,
Yeah.
I still believe.
yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I know a lot of people in Catholic Church that are divorced. I'm one of them, by the way. I was divorced at the age of 24, and I'm still a good Catholic, practicing Catholic. So, but yeah, that's I agree with you though.
Yeah.
It's a tough issue. So, what's the difference between, obviously you end up in juvenile court. What's the difference, as you see it, the biggest difference between felony and juvenile? I mean, I'm sure you're still in tough situations with juveniles, just like you were seeing the worst of the worst a lot of times every day in felony court. How do you compare the two, Judge, two jobs?
In criminal court, you don't always see the entire family. You get the defendant and the defendant's actions, and you get a pre-sentence report when you're going to sentence. You know a little bit about it. But in juvenile court, you tend to be dealing with the whole family on child in need of services cases. And you can see what some of the futures hold for these people, but in juvenile court, there's money to actually help families more so than the criminal system. So I hear the termination of parental rights cases. When it comes time to terminate a parent's rights, our system, at least in Lake County, has spent enormous amounts of time, money, and resources trying to make the family right and keep them together. So, so when it comes time, though, to terminate, it's generally beyond repair. So that's the difference. In a felony court, you sentence somebody, you may never see them again.
No, so I know I know. I want to get into how the judge got his job in juvenile, but
that's interesting.
But
actually.
I want to also get into as a person, because I know Tom's an interesting person. Judge Tom is a very interesting
Without
person.
a doubt.
Right. Like, I know he's a big music lover, like you were saying earlier, hockey player, snowmobiler, motorcycler, right? I mean, I imagine you don't find too many of your fellow judges with the same types of activities that you do.
I got a new odd hobby. I collect diesel trucks.
Wow.
Too. Old diesel trucks.
Really? How many do you own? You must have a big piece of property, right?
8. They're not all diesel, but
What, like semi or?
No, like pickups.
Like what
and
year?
Dump trucks.
Like how far
Like
back?
95, 96 Fords.
Really?
I got an 87.
Like
Really?
refurbish them? Like
No.
make it you just want them old trucks to drive around and pick up
Just
stuff?
drive them till they die. No,
Really?
I got a lot of work to do on my property. I got some acreage, and I got a lot of
You live in
drainage
South County,
stuff.
right?
Cherville.
Shelbyville? Okay. What about, where do you go snowmobiling? Up in Michigan? Or?
Up in the Upper Peninsula. yeah.
Nice.
You still go every year?
Every year.
Marissa and I have a place in Boyne. We go up a lot. That's where we go skiing, actually. I love
Oh,
it.
do you?
That's the Lower Peninsula.
How
but
fast do you think you've ever been on a? What's the fastest you've been on a snowmobile?
Probably 115.
Get the hell out of here. I had no idea.
John,
Obviously-
that just made me nervous. 150.
15 made Kevin nervous,
150.
actually.
Yeah, I was like 115 on a snowmobile.
Oh, yeah.
That is.
It must have been like a lake or something wide open, right?
Yeah.
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 So you can just let it
But
go.
on the trails, I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can ride 75, 80.
That is crazy, though, if anything goes wrong. Because there's
with
trees
your
all
helmet
over.
on.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I
thank
can't
you.
take another hit to the head.
You go.
Well, you've had. I mean, that's right. You've had
a
you
very
had an
serious-
accident. You had a serious accident, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How did that happen again?
A guy pulled out in front of me.
When you were riding a motorcycle, right?
No, I was
Nope.
in a car and I
Was
took
it on
off.
65 or?
No, it was right by the government center. I was going east, past that Luke Oil there. A guy turned from the north-south lanes, got into my lane and on the side, and just pulled right out in front of me. I hit the brakes and it was too
Did
late.
your car flip or it was just a front end
No,
impact?
front end and hit the head.
Really? No seatbelt?
No seatbelt.
Damn.
Oh man.
You wear a seatbelt now, or-
Oh.
I wear a seatbelt now.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
that'll work.
It's funny how.
Yeah, you know it's funny. I got a wreck as a kid, and same thing happened. I got somebody pulled out in front of me. I hit him, hit the dashboard. I remember the blood going down on my face, and I had to go in for stitches in my head. And when I went in, I got asked 50 times, "Oh, you weren't wearing a seatbelt, huh?" It's like, oh, obviously. Look at my head.
Good thing Indiana doesn't allow that in a civil case.
That's right.
Yeah.
You've been in trouble.
Yeah, right.
The cop's like, "You didn't have your seatbelt?" No. I go, "Write me a ticket. You got to write me a ticket. Write me a
Nice.
ticket."
I mean, as a judge, you got to be like straight up about everything. Obviously,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I wasn't gonna lie.
you got to be beyond reproach as a judge. Absolutely. So, Kevin, do you want to do the sponsors?
Yeah,
in the
let's do
second
our
half,
yeah,
and then we'll
absolutely.
get into juvenile court.
We'll do it. Let's do quick sponsors, and we'll get right back into Judge Stefaniak and the juvenile court.
And then we got a question from Paul Goddard. We're going to hit it once we hit the juvenile court part. Emerald Green Restaurant. Emerald Green is a fine dining experience located at beautiful Lost Marsh Golf Course just off the Indiana Toll Road. Come enjoy the patio with a great view of Chicago or dine inside at the beautiful clubhouse and bar. Open year-round. We also have a banquet hall for all your catering needs. Please come and enjoy our family-friendly environment, great Italian food, and more. Visit their website for more info at emeraldgreen@lostmarsh.com.
Grisolia's Concrete, voted number 1 in the region by the Times. Our company is the best concrete and masonry contractor in the area, ready to help with all your end-of-summer projects. Grisolia's Concrete Work, a well-known, experienced concrete and masonry small business, fully licensed, bonded, and covered with insurance, authorized to perform concrete and masonry work in the state of Indiana. Call them at 219-659-4127, Grisolia's Concrete.
Have I always pronounced Bernie's name wrong?
I don't know. Isn't it Grisolia?
John, how do you pronounce Bernie's name? I don't know. You don't?
A lot of people say
Which
Griziola.
That's what I say, Griziola.
Well, Bernie will have to tell me if I'm pronouncing it right.
You
Grisolia.
say Grisolia.
That's how,
You've been doing it consistently.
I was just reading it
I
how it's
mean,
written.
I hope I've known him for years. I've been calling him
Bernie
the
will
wrong
let us
damn
know.
name. I've been
All
calling
right,
him
Bernie,
wrong.
who's doing it right?
All right, thanks. So,
He's probably going to be like, oh, the mayor.
better be.
It's probably like the mayor's wrong, but he'll say,
He
oh, the
better.
mayor's doing it right.
yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
whatever the
That's
mayor
right.
says is right.
Just like,
You
yeah, we
idiot,
did-
Kevin.
We did a poll on Facebook and they said it looked like my dad. I was like, there you go, Kevin.
Oh, boy.
Misprint Printing with both Hammond and Munster locations. Rick Baltensberger and his team are there for absolutely all of your printing needs. He's responsive, fast, and good. Banners and signs of all sizes, from wrapping cards to business cards. No job is too big or too small. Call Rick or Teresa at 219-836-2517.
Thanks to all our sponsors.
Yeah.
We're back with Judge Tom Stefaniak
Judge
from
Tom
the
Stefaniak.
Juvenile Court Division of the Lake Superior Court.
This is an interesting part of the show, I believe. Not that the first part wasn't interesting, but I think that, like, you know, there's been some really interesting cases that the judges presided over. And we can't talk about the facts, obviously, because they're juvenile. And I don't even know the status of these cases, but I'm just going to be like the juvenile when I talk about it. I'm not even going to talk about sex, if that's all right, Judge.
That's cool.
Yeah. First off, it was interesting because you were a Superior Court judge for how long before you bumped over?
11 years.
11 years.
And how long you been juvenile, Judge?
I think 7.
Because we had Judge Bonaventura as the juvenile court judge for a long time before she took a job with Mike Pence when he
she
was
did.
governor.
Correct.
So which vacated that spot. And I thought, I guess I didn't realize that there was like a seniority system when it came to filling other spots, right?
There is.
Is it like for transfer, who gets to pick or who gets to transfer
You
over,
get
right?
a sitting judge gets to transfer prior to opening it up to outside parties.
And how did it go? How did it happen?
Well, I was going over to misdemeanor and low or Class D felony court because at the time I had a real estate business, and I figured I'd free up some time and mental space to do that. And
Over in county division.
over in county division, and Judge Shirelli was going to juvenile court. Well, there was a lawsuit, and
There's a lawsuit between the judges, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is it because Judge Shirelli is a division court judge? Is that why he
Well,
wasn't allowed?
the
or-
reason he couldn't go is because as the systems changed, he started out as a justice of the peace.
That's right. I have
Really?
heard of that.
And somehow because of-
division judges were?
Just back in the day, like they used to have a justice of the peace in Dyer.
right, they'd be in their house, I think, and the police would come and bring people, and
Really?
yeah. So he started out there, and for some reason, under the law, he wasn't allowed to go. But the seniorities,
I think your phone's beeping, Judge.
We're gonna get the judge. Well, you know,
Yeah.
Judge's always got to be on call, so he's
We're
gonna-
all like
he's
looking
gonna put
around
it
like
on-
whose phone's beeping.
He's gonna put it on silent for us, so
Yeah.
we have a good. There he goes.
So anyway, so you used seniority that you developed as Superior Court judge, and your time as City Court judge didn't count towards your seniority, right?
correct.
It did not, right?
It did
Does
not.
that count towards your pension and all that? I imagine it does, right?
No, it's under perf.
Oh, okay. So it's under perf, but it's not towards your judicial pension.
No.
Yeah, because judicial pensions are great, as you and I both know. That's a wonderful thing, a wonderful job. But
It
so-
sure is.
yeah,
Must be nice.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, right. So anyway, you use your seniority and you become juvenile court judge, which is a totally different world, really, right?
Yeah, during that whole lawsuit thing, it was kind of, there's another way I end up somewhere I didn't think I was going. So I asked the judges to, after the lawsuit was decided, give a week to say who's going over there. I had no interest in it. I was asked to go there by 2 or
Really?
3 different judges. I had no interest,
No kidding.
and they outvoted me, and they made it like a 3-week deadline. Come the day of the deadline, about 10 in the morning, gradually people are pushing me. You should do it. You love kids, blah blah blah. I go, yeah, but I don't want 200 employees.
200.
exactly-
We
we were
were
trying
wondering
to-
about that.
It's crazy, like because it's
Yeah.
really outside of the sheriff, it's second highest
Right.
county position.
Employer, yeah, in
I'm
the
like,
county.
yeah.
Employer, right?
And you know, you just you don't even have to be there, and you know what kind of problems you're going to have with
So
it.
with the 200 employees, when you're talking about, obviously you have multiple magistrates, you have staff in a huge building, you have the jail and the jail guards and everybody, because they're totally separate from the correction officers in the Lake County Jail, right?
Right. We got our own facility.
With
our
similar types of numbers, I imagine, right? You got to have like almost a duplicate staff.
How
right?
many people can you house at the juvenile detention
I
center?
think it's 144.
140. Then you have all your bailiffs. You got attorneys, public defenders, staff, probation officers,
CASA.
CASA,
Damn.
right?
Yeah.
So is it? I mean, have you seen the numbers of juvenile prisoners go down? Because I know there's been a big push in Indiana and nationwide, really, to reduce our jail populations and save money. Are you getting the same pressure?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. With the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative, there's very strict guidelines on how decisions are getting made.
And I know we're at the end of the show. We're going to bring you have some staff members you want to talk with and to educate the public about the judicial
Right.
detention alternative initiative, and I think that's very interesting. And so we're going to cover that more towards the end of the show. But do you feel like some of the pressure? Do you feel like sometimes the pressure from the state to and I know the county pressures, you know, the sheriff, for instance, to do the same types of things. Do you feel like, you know, sometimes maybe kids that maybe 10 years ago would have been in, you know, juvenile prison or juvenile jail are being let go now to, you know, do home confinement or something like that?
Right. Well, juvenile delinquencies are down in the U.S., so that affects the population of who's incarcerated. But also, the statute in adult court and criminal court has always been you can't detain unless they're a risk to self, community, or risk of failing to appear. So,
Is that the same standard in juvenile court or different standard?
Same standard. But it just kind of morphed into, okay, we're going to detain those that upset us, that make bad decisions without really getting to the dangerousness part. So they just revised the criminal system now under Criminal Rule 26 to do a risk assessment. We've been doing that risk assessment for years, same concept. So now what we need is we need more information under those categories to hold somebody. Our probation officers do have discretion, but a person gets booked in, they go through an objective criteria, whether they should get detained or not, but that intake probation officer has the ability to override that and keep a juvenile.
And I know you've got your staff, as the mayor mentioned, that you guys are going to go through that after in a little bit, and we're going to get into the details of that.
Right.
I got to
Let me get back, because my dad's probably going to watch this.
Nice.
And I got to finish this
Like,
story.
don't tell the only story
Yeah.
about when I made you go to football practice
No.
for a year.
Yeah, right. No, so the morning of the deadline, it was a foregone conclusion. Another judge was going to juvenile court, and I call my father up, and I said, Dad, I'm really thinking about doing this. My fiance's pushing me to do this, and I'm really feeling the calling. He says, and he's usually the, don't do it guy,
Yep.
And he says, yeah, I think you ought to go there. This job's weighing on you. It can't be any worse than, than
sentencing
what's
people to
going
death,
on.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
than what's going on now. Like, oh, crap. And
Good for
then the whistles went off in my head, and it's like, all right, I'm going to go do this.
Good for you,
And
Judge.
here you are 7 years
You know,
later.
one of the interesting things about both of our backgrounds is I actually, when I talk to kids, I tell them that I wasn't a good high school student, and I did, get into trouble when I was a kid. And I actually tell the kids because I think it makes them look at me different. They're like, wow,
Yeah.
he's the mayor now. And do you ever bust that out on kids? Do you ever tell them?
All the time.
It's effective, right?
I was in auto body class until first month of senior year in high school when I decided I'm going to college. That's no BS.
So you could fix cars
You could
also.
still, that's why he's
No.
got the diesel
No,
pickups.
No, it's a good thing I went into law, because I can't repair a car to save my life.
One of the other things I want to talk about, I know the mayor wants to get to some specific cases that are important.
A couple,
Yeah.
general.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you real quick that a lot of times you hear, as a lawyer, you learn these things, of course, or you're trained to do it. Waiver from juvenile to
Great
people
question.
think like, oh, well, the judge decides they're going to go to adult court. How does that process work? It's not the judge. It's not you, right?
Well-
I mean, you ultimately decide, but it's not in your own decision.
Well, there's a two-step process on some of them. When there's a waiver, some are direct file, which is a prosecutor decision. Some are waiver, and the standard is there probable cause? So that's a whole hearing we do. And then is it in the best interest of the child to be in adult court? Ironically enough, most of the magistrates hear all those. The only one I heard since I've been there was a murder case where the girl was tangentially involved, and with all the facts that got put out, I chose not to waiver.
Interesting.
It hasn't been a problem since.
So it's not an automatic waiver on a murder case.
No,
It's a hearing.
right.
So like any crime that a kid commits under 18, that doesn't go to their adult record either, right? So even if you have something pretty egregious on your record when you're 16, 17, when you become an adult,
You can get it expunged.
Oh, so it would be there. So if I stole a car when I was 16 and then I was 30, somebody could say, wow, this happened when you were a juvenile?
It's not that crystal clear, because there's all kinds of law enforcement databases and state and federal. Even when you get an expungement, sometimes you're not
still
really
around.
getting anything
And
expunged.
the NCIC is pretty detailed.
It is.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't go away very quickly. Well, there's a new phenomenon in juvenile court now for these waivers and direct files. Now, starting by the end of December 2021, there's got to be a third holding facility.
Wow.
You can't hold them in adult court, or adult jail, and you can't hold them in a juvenile detention center. We got to have an intermediate step where they're out of sight and sound of juveniles or adults.
Well, I know before Mayor and I take off, Judge, I know the Mayor wanted to hit a couple of important cases that he wants to talk to you about.
Judge and I have known each other a long time, and I think he's an excellent judge. He's a great person, and I wanted to point out, I'm also an attorney, as all of us know. Sometimes my job as mayor mixes up with, me being an attorney and the things I should or shouldn't say. And I get frustrated sometimes, and I just wanted to just say I probably done things in the past I shouldn't have done, Judge, and I just wanted to tell you I apologize to you, because I don't appreciate, first off, I knew how you were when you were a felony court judge. You're a badass, and you didn't take any gruff from the people that you were sentencing. You were hard, and that's what the residents of Lake County want, to put bad guys in jail and keep them there, right? And I know as a juvenile court judge, you have different constraints that you didn't probably have when you're a felony court judge. And sometimes before I open my mouth, I should think. And I just want to, on the record, say there were some things I said in the past that I probably shouldn't have said, and I definitely shouldn't have said. And I just want you to know that I appreciate, I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't have gone places I went. And the two cases we're going to talk about, but I just want to start off and say that, Judge, because
Well, I appreciate it.
you don't deserve, because you can't really defend yourself in a spot like that either, because you're hearing the case.
Well, and
so
judges are constrained anyway from
right,
making public
but
comment,
so
right?
here I am, saying things that I probably shouldn't have said, and the judge is probably punching holes in the wall,
Wait till I see him.
right. But I just want to say, Judge, I respect you as a judge greatly. I respect you as a man and as an elected official, and I just want you to know that you're. I just
Thought I'd turn that off.
It's all right.
Some
I just
of your
wanted you to
magistrates.
know, I appreciate you, and I'm sorry about some of the things I said in the past. And I actually wanted to talk about a couple of the cases that brought up our gentlemanly disagreement. One of them was a person, a juvenile, that called in a bomb threat. And
At Hammond High.
at Hammond High. And the thing about this bomb threat that really got me was, of course, Hammond High was going to be affected. This is early last year, in the last school season, 2019. So 2019,
2018, I forget.
it was 2019,
Okay.
if I remember. But anyway, this person calls in a bomb threat, and then in this environment, you never know, right? Most
Right.
likely, 99% of the time, it's a hoax. Somebody's
Right.
trying to get out of a test.
But you don't want to be that 1%,
That's right.
right?
That's
Yeah.
right. Well, anyway, in this one, it rippled. Not only was
Every-
Hammond High shut down, they shut down Gavitt, they shut down Clark, they shut down Morton, they
Every
shut down
fire
every
truck,
school,
every policeman.
every fireman, and so it was a major impact on our city that day. And I was like a vengeance man. I'm like this kid shut my city down for a whole day, and then a couple days later, I know that person was back in school, and I was extremely frustrated. And I definitely said things I shouldn't have said as an attorney.
On the Friday radio show.
Yeah, which is where I usually got
Right.
myself in trouble.
Yes.
but obviously that's a frustrating thing for a layperson, even a mayor that doesn't really practice a lot of law in the juvenile court. That's a frustrating thing to see. I imagine you can imagine that, right?
Right.
You can understand that.
Yeah, we had. I know what you're talking about, and I think I can talk generally enough about it without violating any of the canons.
Thank you.
Generally speaking, what happened is that person went through the intake procedure, and the objective tool was run on that person, and that person was assigned either a low risk or medium risk, which means that person on that tool alone should not have been held in our detention center.
Mm-hmm.
Our staff,
So she had a relatively clean record. I mean, is that safe to say?
nothing.
So other than what she did, other than what
Right.
the person did that day,
Right.
it was a clean record.
Right. So generally speaking, clean and released to parent without restrictions.
Really?
Our staff at intake said, well, no, this is a serious thing. This is a bomb threat. We're going to keep her, which they have the right to do, which gets audited by the state, by the way, but that's another story. They kept her. Then about 36 hours later, whatever it is, we got an obligation to give them a 48-hour hearing. It went to court, and there was a whole factual hearing that took place and a whole other side that minimized any danger to community or others,
And it resulted in a release.
and resulted in her release after judicial officer.
And by the
looked at
way,
it.
she hasn't been back, and it's been over a year, right? I mean,
As far as I know.
God, I gotta stop saying
That's,
that.
yeah. Your next case.
Yeah.
Onward.
Yeah. So, and then this is, I believe, the bomb threat was the first one, and then we had another situation where this juvenile, definitely a more serious situation, allegedly stole a car, had a high-speed chase all over, around the YMCA in Hammond, all over the Woodmar section, crashed a car into a ditch, and then the officers pinned the suspect, and then the suspect bolted the car backwards towards one of my officers, and the officers fired, protecting themselves, hit the kid in the head. and luckily he survived, and it was a graze, but still, like, very serious. They arrested the
Right.
kid. He's a juvenile, and then a couple days later he was back in school, and I about hit the roof on that one. Probably
Yep.
shouldn't
Yep,
have,
yep.
but I find that one a lot more egregious, obviously, because it involves police officers, and the officers fired fearing for their safety, and then obviously, so what happens in a case like that?
So that person, like any other person, would go through the risk assessment tool. That fact pattern is pretty convoluted, but I seem to recall there was some misapprehensions. Police thought the kid was already on an ankle monitor when he wasn't.
He wasn't? Okay.
He was not. He'd been released
I thought he was.
months earlier. So there was a lot of misinformation on that. The reality of that situation is whenever there's shots fired, whenever police are put in danger, we want to be on the same side as our community and
sure.
provide safety. That particular case, I don't know enough about it to say if we dropped the ball or didn't drop the ball, but I can tell you the processes that are in place were the same as the first case. Risk assessment done, kid held, judicial officer has a factual determination hearing and determine that person should be released. I didn't hear it. A referee did. But what little I did look into it, I didn't think there was any reason for me to question his judgment.
And that's the process that's in place for every case that comes in the juvenile court.
Right, and that's what we're required to follow. And that's what we do follow.
How many magistrates work for you, Judge?
7.
7, and then a referee also?
6 in the referee.
6 and a referee. Right.
So 7 magistrates, 6 referees, 13 judicial officers.
No, 6 magistrates, 1 referee.
Gotcha.
Right.
7 under you.
Yeah.
So
I used to practice. In fact, I practiced in judge quite a few times, but juvenile was one of the areas where I practiced in. In fact, the last time I practiced was in juvenile court. I was representing one of my baseball players.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're gonna do something we don't usually do, which is turn the studio over to the
We're-
judge and his staff.
No, we have Nara Oliveira, the intake probation supervisor, lives in East Chicago. We have Joanne Price, an attorney from Hammond, and we have Kevin, the chief probation officer. It's going to talk with Judge about Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative, right?
JDAI. That's a mouthful.
But Judge, like I said, I think you're doing a great job representing our county. I, as a lawyer, I appreciate what you do as a judge, and I just wanted to say, because I know when I'm wrong, and I think losing elections is good for your soul. Sort of, honest to God, I think it's you sort of have to take pause and say, what the hell am I doing right? What the hell am I doing wrong? And
Right.
I know that sometimes my mouth gets me in trouble, and I just want to say I'm sorry, sincerely.
Apology
as an attorney.
accepted.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll talk to you about the other part later.
Sure.
I'm sorry, too.
Judge,
There's nothing. Don't worry about that.
it's good to see you.
But
really
Judge and I
is.
have a lot in common, and when two people
It's like
with
the
a lot
bad
in
boys
common-
are on that side of the table. I
Definitely,
want to make sure
definitely
that
the
that's
good boys
clear.
But so we're gonna have probably the last 5 minutes of the show or so. We'll do it with JDAI, and I just again want to say thank you very much to Judge Tom Stefaniak, the Lake County Juvenile Court Judge, for appearing on Left to Center. And I want to look forward to having you back again, Judge. I think you're a great guest.
All right.
And
Have
you,
a
sir.
safe
And
trip.
we'll
All right.
see you.
Thanks, everybody. We're gonna
See everybody on
JDAI
Friday,
is
but
gonna
stay
be.
tuned for
Yeah.
JDAI and Judge Stefaniak.
Lindsay, you gonna help out here? Come on in, guys. Thanks, Judge.
Take care.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
sir.
Are we off?
No, we're still on.
All right. Hello, all. Thank you for tuning in. We got Nara Oliveira, our intake supervisor here in the jean jacket. We got Joanne Price, an attorney who was one of our founders of, or original people involved with the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative. From the beginning, prior to me even going to juvenile court, and Kevin Elkins, our now chief probation officer, has been involved with JDAI forever. JDAI is the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative, and it seeks to take underage people's behaviors, their delinquent acts, and balance it against their unmatured brain. It couples brain science with bad decisions. So let's talk a little bit about that and how that all works, if we would.
Well, good morning. So I work on the detention side. I'm the supervisor at the intake department. And before a juvenile walks into our detention facility, we take a lot of things into consideration. As the judge said, the brain doesn't fully develop till what age?
25.
25.
25.
Okay.
Couple that with the fact of all the drug usage that's going on and all the screen time and the game time, and it's much later.
Right.
It's some of you ladies would say a male's brain never fully develops, but that's another story, right?
I think my wife might say that too.
So I don't know if the judge, if you spoke about this already, about the detention tool that we
No,
use.
tell them a little bit about it from your perspective, if you would.
So we have a detention tool that was created by the community. It wasn't just created by our juvenile court. Actually, several people from the community came together. Joanne, you were part of that, so you can speak more into how that was done and what you guys spoke about at the meetings.
One of the things about JDAI is that it embraces 8 core strategies. One of the first ones, and probably the most important one, is collaboration. So anything that we do through JDAI perspective is designed to be collaborative with the courts and with the community, with law enforcement, and with any other community or stakeholders that would have an interest. So when it was time for us to develop our detention risk assessment instrument, there were a number of people from local universities, from communities, as well as from our internal stakeholders who not only evaluated our data to see what the primary focus should be on as it relates to kids who should be held in secure detention, but those groups of children who also should be released with the opportunity to participate in alternatives to detention, like in-home arrest or electronic home monitoring. And that process took us several years, as a matter of fact. We went through a number of iterations of the risk assessment instrument before we actually adopted one as a system. And even since then, I believe that we've been required to review whatever data is created from using the instrument to always evolve to the best practice for our community.
Yeah, so Joanne and these folks here have been involved with this for a very long time. There's a lot of different nuances, and Lake County was one of the original pilot counties for juvenile detention alternative. And so, Kevin, you've been involved a little bit now.
My name's Kevin Elkins. I'm the chief of probation. I've been with the juvenile court now for over 25 years. I started in detention. When I first started there, we used to have over 100 kids in detention every day. Now it's a lot fewer kids, but we house the right kid for the right reason right now. The one thing I have learned through my years of working in juvenile is that juveniles are not locked up forever. So while we have these juveniles in our care and custody, we're working on trying to impact their lives and change their mindsets while we have them.
So they don't end up in criminal court.
We don't want to kick the can down the road, because if we do, the community is not safe later. So we're doing a lot of different programs. We're trying to come up with different alternatives to do things with the youth to impact them. We started working with them with flowers, and I had no idea about flowers. We do a program with community service where we have the kids come in and cut flowers and
in the butterfly garden,
in the butterfly garden.
Which I laughed when they asked, so you want to put a butterfly garden in there?
Right.
I'll tell you what, you walk out there and you can feel the stress melt off of you, can't you?
It's amazing, and it's amazing to see kids that come initially to do these things with flowers that are against it, and once they get involved with it, you can just see the growth in the art, how they love artwork and how they love dealing with flowers. You just can see how they take to it.
And what's our goal for 2025, between now and 2025?
We'd like to get 50 kids jobs by 2025, and we're on our way. So,
and did you not just work closely with the kid that loved the flower garden so much that he came 6 or 7 times, not court ordered, and now you got him a job, and he's been working for over a week in that job?
Yes, we actually got 2 kids jobs through that program. So we want to reach out to the community, let you guys know we need your help. It can't just be juvenile court. It can't just be probation. It can't just be the magistrates and the judges. We need the entire community. I just spoke with Mayor McDermott. We want him to come out to see the juvenile center and see what we're doing. We want to reach out to each community in Lake County. I grew up in Gary, Indiana, so I'm invested in Lake County and how we interact with our youth and what kind of impact we have on our youth. Because if we don't take care of our youth, who will?
Exactly.
So we're looking at some things over at juvenile court. We repurpose clothing, and we have probably our own department store.
Yes, it looks like Montgomery Ward's in one of our wings.
Yeah,
and we give the clothes out for the very good price of free.
That's
so
right.
if you have a need and you can display that you really have a need, contact our juvenile center and we will help as much as we can.
And for those of you looking for a place to dump it, you could, because in my view, Goodwill's a business, not a charity, and we're a charity, so we accept clothing and things that can be reused. Kevin Elkins, 660-6900, 660-6900 if you'd like to make a donation. He's looking at me because he's stretched so thin right now. We had to get him an assistant. Actually, Anthony Barlow, 660-6900. Anthony Barlow.
I can feel my phone ringing right now as we speak. But I love it because I love helping people. So if you have a desire to help, if you have a desire to donate to the room, if you have an interest on just finding out what we do, please feel free to call. I will make time for each and every one of you guys. So we need everybody's help. So please contact us, and we could definitely use your help.
And we're also looking for people from different positions, different careers to come out and speak to our juveniles, because we definitely want to expose them to different opportunities that they may have. A lot of them have not even been out of Lake County or even different areas within Lake County. So we definitely want to continue exposing them to different things so that they know that they have a future outside of Lake County or, their daily routines or what they're used to.
It's just amazing to me how many people live 5 miles from Lake Michigan and never been there.
That's right.
Or 10 miles away from the Indiana Dunes, and I mean it's one of the most beautiful parks around, and never been there. So yeah, it's all about exposure. Joanne, you were one of the pioneers here, and you've watched it develop, and I think it's actually the fruits of your labor are starting to pay off a little bit more, I think.
I mean, it's astounding the work that Kevin and Nara have been able to do, especially under your watch. I think that what was really challenging is to get people first and foremost to embrace the idea that we can come together. People look oftentimes at the court system as it's a part of government, and government is going to govern. But this is an opportunity for the community to give voice, because it makes no sense for us to govern from a perspective and affect the lives of people without realizing whether or not we're being beneficial. So that people have been welcomed to come to the table and feel welcomed at the table, to me, has been one of the greatest outcomes of this whole experience, and to see all of the alternatives and the creative ways that this team has been able to help develop alternatives like the flower garden, like the butterfly garden, like the welding classes, and all of the other things that are really, in my opinion, just very novel, because you don't see them replicated in very many places, makes Lake County really stand out as far as the initiative statewide is concerned.
And the way the flower garden started is it's a nurse that lives in Hammond that works in Chicago, and this is a hobby for her. And she's grown it into something that's amazing, where our flowers are on the tables in local restaurants, and the kids all produce them. And
she's been great. She volunteers all her time, and she's actually had, on these 2 kids to have this job that we got through the flower farm, it's impacted their life in a way you just can't put money on.
Right. So we end up with people that have a desire to help, want to do things. We bring everybody to the table. For instance, NARA's got this risk assessment tool I talked about earlier to determine when a kid gets released and doesn't get released. we revise that from time to time, and that's done with an advisory board that representatives from the public make those decisions.
That's right.
Right.
And in fact, I wanted to let everybody know that if you wanted to be a little bit more involved with that, when we revise it, we'll take your name and number. Again, Anthony Barlow, 660-6900. You're welcome.
Thank you. But if you need to talk with me, I have no problem. Call and ask for me as well. It's not a problem. I'm just blessed to be in this position to make a difference, and this is what I think I was meant to do. So I'm here to help. So if you need to call and you got questions, call Kevin Elkins or Anthony Barlow at 219-660-6900. And speaking of welding, I just want to give a kudos to Ivy Tech School, who's gone above and beyond and helping us with kids that we put through a welding class. We're actually hoping to do more than welding. So if you have any skills in the trades and you have an interest in coming and helping with our youth, please reach out to us because we want to do more than welding. We appreciate the welding class, and they do a great job for us. I just want to give a shout out again to Ivy Tech and Miss Alicia Hampton, who does a great job with our
she's
kids.
been great.
There's a shortage of welders in our society. There's a shortage of forklift operators in our society. A shortage of truck drivers. So we're trying to do things to attempt to fill those needs with the right people if we can. Of course, there's other jobs there are shortages of, but a little known fact: if you take 3 classes and pass them at Ivy Tech, you don't even need a degree. You can get out and get a welding job making $18 an hour the next day.
Yep, I'm almost ready to go sign up for the class myself, Judge, in my spare time. But
Well, I always wanted to be a truck driver, and I realized during COVID I can't drive very well.
So yeah, I just definitely want to give a shout out to Ivy Tech once again because they've been great with us and all of our volunteers that come in through the Juvenile Center. We do an art program with them. We do a healthy relationship program with them. We have a yoga therapy class that we do with them now.
And then also for those people that have unsightly tattoos that are gang related or affect your social mobility, we have free tattoo removal provided by Don Frey from Bugaboo Tattoos.
Yeah, he does a great job with us too. The tattoo removal process is a very expensive process, so the fact that we're able to provide that to our youth through juvenile court is a blessing. So we just want to put it out again. If you have any interest in helping us in whatever way, volunteering or donating or just finding out more information on what we do, we are very serious about you contacting us, and we'll welcome any help you can give.
How we doing on time? Wrap it up.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all. Again, Anthony Barlow, 660-6900 if you want to be involved with juvenile court. And we are looking for retired people to come and provide guidance. In my opinion, this generation doesn't have the work ethic that it needs, and they need some soft skills taught to them first before we take them anywhere. They need to be taught that if you're not 20 minutes early for the job, you're late. If the boss asks you to work overtime, he's really not asking you. And unless there's good reason not to stay, you need to stay. We need to teach those principles a little bit more to help people succeed. So with that, thank you all. I do appreciate everybody tuning in.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.